Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of November 1st, 2020. On the cover, we've got Dr. Stone. I will never get tired of Dr. Stone covers or like Dr. Stone color images in general, where it is just, what if the cast was wearing modern clothing? It's so weird, especially since, in universe now, they have relatively modern clothing. Like, Yuzuriha can make normal clothing, but it still feels so weird. Eh, The closest thing I can put it to is like a fantasy series where the mangaka will occasionally do hey, here's everyone wearing casual clothing image, or, modern clothing image. But Dr. Stone isn't a fantasy series. Like, it does fit in that perfect category of kind of fantasy, but not really fantasy. So, Senku is reading Rendezvous with Rama, which I have not read, actually. I am unbelievably behind in, like, reading Clark. And I don't know if I've liked Asimov. I've heard that if you like Asimov, you like Clark. I just feel like, the litany of old sci-fi content is terrifying to wrap my head around. Like, in the same way that if you join the anime community, sometimes it does feel very overwhelming to know that a lot of people have this, like, giant canon of series that they will constantly refer to that you are expected to have read when they also did, they consumed that content over decades, and you just joined, and then they're like, oh, I can't believe you haven't seen the original Gundam. How could you be such a pleb? I feel like that, but for old sci-fi. I'm so, like, anyways, Kohaku is reading The Origin of the Species. Always not an evergreen read. Like, it has aged a little bit, but it's still pretty darn good. Like, you can still read The Origin of the Species, as I did in high school, and it still holds up. Like, not I think it helps that Darwin is very speculative about it. Like, he's not saying here is the absolute canon for how everything works. Like, he is just kind of branching out and making very clear observations. And all that stuff held up really well. Again, of course, is not reading anything. He's just throwing a paper airplane. I'm curious if this is going to tie, like, are they going to do a thing with books in this chapter or in this arc, or is this just a fun, let's show the characters reading cover? Because, I mean, either way, it's good. Let's kick this off with the Black Clover, chapter 270, Together. I assume referring to Liebe and Asta working together finally. You'll be able to make a contract with that devil from a position of total dominance. Make the devil your servant, then you can use his power at will. So, I mean, obviously, not something Asta would do. Like, I understand this in terms of the mechanics of the series. This is how you would be able to make a contract that is, very much slanted in your favor. And that would explain how it is that I keep on wanting to call him, like, Noct can have like four contracts all at the same time, and he seems to be completely unaffected by it. Like, they must be extremely slanted contracts, which would also explain why his devils are so tiny looking. That said, could this be a test? Like, I honestly don't know if Noct having this very black and white view of the world, if he would see this as a, like, yeah, he's a devil, just dominate him, that is the ultimate good. Or if he's looking at it from the perspective of, this is what you should do. This is the most practical thing to do. Even I have done this. But this isn't what a good person would do. Like, the exact phrasing of, that is the path you should take in order to become the ultimate warrior, makes, like, that's what makes me feel really sus. Be my friend. So, equal contracts. Which, I mean, the only thing we know that Liba would want is to destroy devils. Like, there's nothing else I mean, he wants Asta's body, but he wants Asta's body so that he can kill all devils. So, presumably, like, there shouldn't be, like, a lot of the other devils have this inherent malice to them. Like, they would want their human to suffer, or they would want their human to, like, commit acts of great suffering upon everyone. Like, I assume that's why the Dark Triad have such strong contracts, because they're completely fine with, destroying their whole country and the world. And I do really like that Asta's coming from, like, he's coming at this from the perspective of, we have been partners this whole time, but I didn't know anything. Because I think that also helps, it helps calm my perspective as a reader. Like, if we had acted as if Aston knew this devil this whole time, and, they have this spiritual connection, and he understands them, and they understand each other, like, that would feel very unearned to me. Whereas I think approaching it from this perspective of, I am grateful to you, and I want more of your power, but I also don't know anything about you, and I want to be your friend, I think that's 100% perfect. This image of Noct implies that he probably didn't expect this, but I mean, he could be playing the long game. Right, this guy wasn't fighting seriously in the first place. This isn't a ritual for devil binding, it's devil befriending. But yeah, okay, this page really makes me think that Noct is, very happy about this. Because I also do imagine that, like, creating a contract from a position of absolute dominance must, like, there's no way it's as easy as, I give you one gold coin, you do anything in the world. Like, I feel like if there is some sort of cosmic balance in the series, then an equal partnership has to give you more power than if you make an unequal contract. Like, they're called contracts. I mean, not to say that real world contracts are inherently fair, absolutely not. But, like, every series that I have read that has contracts as, like, a thing in it involves this level of, the way in which you make the contract determines the strength of it, or, the results that you can achieve. Hmm. He really is. By the way, in case you guys don't read the comments, or in case you're watching this, like, in the future when my comment sections have been annihilated, I do want to say I did get a big comment last week that did, like, that specifically pointedly showed that, yeah, we did see that, that Lysita was, in fact, Asta's mom. Like, that Asta had a flashback, like 30 chapters ago, in which he was thinking mom. And you could still argue that that was him consuming Liba's memories, perhaps, but I don't think so. Then also, like, I was very much on the train of, oh, this must be super, super far in the past, but eh, there's really no evidence for that. So I feel like we're getting the drop of, he is her son. He really is. Lysita's kid. Yeah. I was expecting to be less down with this, but you know what? I'm fine with it. Also, of course, it's a handshake. Like, oh, we're gonna see this in every opening after this point, aren't we? Also, now, fingers crossed, I'm completely fine with Asta being Lysita's child, but I am not fine with Asta's arm going back to normal, so we'll see if it reverts or not. You chose right. But I mean, I'm happy that that is his perspective, but we need to know what that means later on. However, people who are right aren't necessarily rewarded, and so get stronger in order to keep yourself from losing to unjust evil. This is a pretty cool look. It's got a very hunter-y vibe. It makes me feel like this has got to be his, like, long-ranged form. We're not seeing anything long-ranged in it, and this could just be he's inspired by a wolf, or, like, he has a wolf contract, he's gonna use claws. But the hat feels very archery. Both of you come at me and defeat me. So we're also not doing a, like, like, Leva's not going back in. It seems like he's going to still be manifest, which is a pretty cool concept. Like, again, I've seen a lot of these, manifest the devil or your superpowered evil half, or, like, X thing into the world and then fight it. But I don't think I've seen one where, like, you train alongside it as a separate entity. Like, the Zanpakuto spirits are kind of like that, but even that's mostly a, like, you fight the spirit, or you're training alongside the spirit, but it's not a, like, you and the spirit are fighting a third party. Good chapter. I'm this is gonna sound so dumb, but I am very excited to see this moment in, like, future OPs, because Black Clover has fantastic openings, and, like, the only thing that's kind of getting a little old is, of course, the Asta Una fist bump. But now we have something that, goes far beyond the Asta Una fist bump. Also, I wonder, like, do we see a good shot of Leva? No, we don't. We don't see, like, where Asta's arm was on his body, right? Like, I'm wondering if they have to swap. I guess this one would be the best possible way to see if that's what's going on, because it should be here. And we're not seeing the telltale red cracks all over it. So he must have teleported the arm over. Like, they must have one arm that they can move between themselves. Which I think is, like, if we're doing a three-way fight, that's going to be a pretty cool dynamic. I was also thinking that potentially, like, in the same way that these arms now have like, a contract symbol on them, could Asta, like, I was wondering if Leva would have, like, a Asta-colored arm. So then we can have the duality of, if they handshake like this, then it's one black arm, one white arm. And if they handshake the other way around, it's Asta with one black arm and Liba with one white arm. But I don't think that's what's happening. I think they're gonna have to just, trade the arm between them. I'm also, I mean, kind of already said this, but I'm very interested to see Noct's philosophy on how demon contracts work, specifically with his demons. Like, clearly he has gone for the, like, I made unfair contracts with them in order to, use a lot of them and to aggregate a lot of power. But his devils also seem to be, like, they're not mad at him, or they're not, like, particularly tsundere or anything. So, are the contracts more fair than I assumed, or is there something else going on? I mean, in general, I'm also just curious to see how his fighting style is. Like, he must be very modular if he can, like if he has a different form for each devil. So I'm imagining, like, if this is the melee form, then he probably has like a like mid-range form, long range, and then maybe a pure magic form or like some sort of like weird hexy cursey ability. Ah, what else is there to say? Black Clover is just good. It's just good. Next we've got Me and Roboco, Chapter 16, Robo Me and Roboco. So, I mean, first of all, color page, not a great color page in all honesty. Like, the problem really is that Roboco has such normal characters. And, like, I wouldn't want to see, the evil guy and his evil gorilla henchman on one of these. Like, Me and Roboco is a series where I would want something like the reverse of the Dr. Stone cover this week, where it is like everyone wearing fantasy outfits, or everyone like doing a gag, or everyone cosplaying. Especially since this came out after Halloween, actually. This would have been a prime moment for a, like, just have everyone dress up in random costumes color page. Because, like, it's not that I don't like their looks, but also, like, we see them so much. These are characters that have one look per character. Like, you might have an exception or two, but it's so rare. It's usually they wear the exact same thing every time. That's the kind of series where I do want to see just random images of them wearing different stuff for no reason. By the way, I might link it down below, but you could probably just look it up. There was a like Japanese motion dub of Roboco of Chapter 1, and it's really good. I mean, the downside of it is, now that I've seen that, I don't know how I can't imagine that the anime would be better than that. Like, I do assume if Roboco gets an anime, it's probably going to be like the Saiki Kusuo anime, where it's not bad, but it is also like mostly just the panels from the manga, and then you kind of just cut between the panels, as opposed to like, fluid animation or doing extra fun things. Okay. I feel like we're delving into some sort of a Mori King reference. No, we're here to share the wealth. That is a question. Do they get anything out of this relationship? I mean, I know they like him. Like, they get friendship out of their relationship. But the relationship is also mostly the two of them giving Bondo stuff. Like, there is no interaction in which they interact with Bondo and he ever gives them more than they give him. Which, I mean, it's fine in its own way. It is a very generous friendship. But if you're gonna say it in the text, then yeah, that does feel weird. I mean, I guess the other thing is, like, through Bondo, they, can be friends with Roboco, and Roboco adds to their relationship. What are they doing? Now, this is some weird gender binary stuff. Okay, yeah, I just realized the boys are playing with bugs. The girls went off and just started knitting. I mean, knitting for Roboco. Hmm? This is Reiko, the ghost from Chapter 7. Is this Reiko, the ghost from Chapter 7? The world of the living is such a vibe. This face. But yeah, she does seem to be completely fearless. I do appreciate how, like, Roboco simultaneously does the gag of, hey, this is a generic sitcom moment, while at the same time, like, how do I put this? Roboco can simultaneously do a generic wholesome sitcom moment while also making it clear, like, yeah, this is a gag, but there's nothing that insane about it. We are just doing the panel. Okay, so that's what we were leading up to. She is afraid of, I assume, Robo-Me. Now, what relationship does she have to Robo-Me? Like, the lore of Roboco so far has, like, it's pretty threadbare. Right now, we just know that she's not a normal order maid. She is from somewhere. She may or may not be a weird experiment. We don't really know. Like, it's only been ever, like, implied that something's going on there. Run and gun? She's gotta kill her. Okay, what does Robo-Me look like? Big sister? So what about her is terrifying? Okay, that's a little scary. I mean, she is also related to Roboco, so she has to be really weird, right? Even the out-of-universe tag says Roboco's little sister, question mark, so she could be an imposter. She's super strict. She always corrected my adorable antics with extreme rectitude. I mean, again, not seeing the problem. And so began Roboco's time in hell. I mean, again, not wrong. She doesn't know how to be a maid. Like, I am, like, I do relate to Roboco. I get the vibe of, it does suck having to wake up early. It does suck to have to learn how to do your job. But at the same time, it seems like Robomi's main thing is just, I want you to be an order maid and not a piece of garbage. I will allow you to read the OK Jump Guy editor comment section. What? Actually, what? What is OK Jump Guy? I mean, hopefully this is a super old reference, because the alternative is that there is a section of the author comments in Japan that is so bad that they don't translate it into English for the official English release. And considering the state of the author comments normally, that is a terrifying concept. Parodies are banned! Wait, is that how that works? I mean, I guess it... Huh. I've never considered that. Like, it does feel really weird if the mangaka asks the editors, like, hey, can I reference your series in my comedy series? But he doesn't, like, message the mangaka themselves and ask. Not in a, like, that's illegal or that's inherently wrong situation, but, like, in the same way that Weird Al doesn't have to get permission or to do his, like, parody songs, but he still does. Like, it feels really strange. Especially since, yes, the lifeblood of Roboco is parodies. Or I guess I wouldn't even call them parodies. I would call them references. Oh boy. That's a heavy one. Okay, now it's getting a bit much, sure. Oh, it's these two. Oh yeah, I forgot he was based on a crab. I mean, you can tell from his physique why I thought he was a gorilla. I mean, sure, no showing panties, no manly man dinner, no eye beams. Okay, so she has eye beams too. I mean, the thing that sticks out the most to me here is Manly Man Dinner, which is not something that, like, Bondo never wanted Manly Man Dinner. Manly Man Dinner is so cursed. Like, initially it made sense to say, okay, I guess that's all Roboco can do. Like, she can't actually make an egg omelet. But now it seems like she does just like doing it. Like, she is just intentionally not following orders. Oh boy, what is this cursed form? Please kill me. Okay, that makes sense. Like, she wants to be an order maid, but she's bad at it. So it makes sense that Robomi would just force her to be a good order maid. Wait, we didn't get a Sukomi for this one! She just dropped the line. She disappeared onto the battlefield, and we're not gonna talk about that. But okay, they are leaving it as... Huh. Yeah, like, Roboco is clearly listening to this. She is clearly aware. What is this a parody of? I mean, I do think this is a good ending, but... Even I have no idea what she was... I mean, domain expiry? But yeah, I have no idea what that could possibly be. Actually, the only other thing they really brought up as a reference was Jujutsu Kaisen. So I assume it's probably like a Jujutsu Kaisen ability or something. So that is me and Roboco. Can't put that above Black Clover. Not one of the on fire chapters, but it was fine. Next, we have We Never Learn, chapter 180, The Queen of Thin Ice, part 3. Kirisu still living in absolute garbage squalor. So she's not interested in something. She is talking to her mom. So, what is this misunderstanding? What is this series of unfortunate events? I have never seen this, like, I mean, I've seen the, oh, your soul's coming out, but I've never seen it as, your soul's coming out, and your soul is talking, and your soul seems completely fine, but the rest of you is dead. I am to be inspected. Is this a parent inspection? Oh yeah, she is really big. Such is the power of a time skip. Oh boy. It also, in some way, it feels very strange that this is, like, this is the classic Komanami chapter, but it's being done with Kirisu. It feels like a real, like, in order to make this arc a super blowout, I'm going to, like, take all the good parts of the other arcs, or, all the good character interactions, and redo them, but with Sensei. I mean, they just, as long as it's for this chapter, it'll be fine. If this is the premise of the whole arc, it's going to, then it is going to feel like a repeat of not just Komanami's general vibe, but also of her arc. So scary. Oh, this does feel very classic, though. This is the absolute danger of a small child character in a Susui series. I mean, from an objective point of view, it's so much more suspicious that they are, like, doing more and more couple-like things. in order to placate the small child. But at the same time, like, what else do you do in this situation? Oh no, what next? Oh no, she's Gen Z! I mean, I have seen this IRL, but in manga, it feels even weirder to see a small child using a big cell phone. This is some hardcore blackmail. You know, couples love to go on dates at water parks. We learned that in last week's video game. Who is this line for? Also, like, we've seen her in her, like, actual canonical size, like, once or twice, but every other scene in this has been, Taishi's, like, chibi child design, which is really strong. Like, I've never really considered that he does do the chibi child design for, like, especially Yuika's siblings, where they don't canonically, like, they're not canonically that short. They are taller, but they are just portrayed in that chibi look constantly, just because it is more fun and cute to draw them that way. Hmm. Now, weird vibes here, because of course we do know that she liked his father, and like, if we keep this up, I really hope this is not going to be a trend in this arc of you were a stand-in for your father, and now you are still a stand-in for your father. Like, up until now, that's been fine as a general, like, living up to his expectations, living up to his, the ideal of who he was and who people saw him as. But you can't do that in a relationship. That's too weird. Oh, don't say this right next to her. So 100%, like, there's no way that was an accidental sleep grab of the tie. Now, does she spill the beans? Almost certainly not. But why? Okay, so from the start, like, this was never going to be a I'm gonna let him loose. Like, I also do like the way this played out of not they're lying, but it's fine. It is this mix of, like, she can tell something's going on. She can tell there is something real there, even if they are pretending to be closer than they really are. All right. Good chapter. I It feels really weird saying this, but the last few arcs have been very, like, they felt too straightforward. They've been too, like, we're doing this thing. This is the premise of this arc. And this is feeling too scattered. But then again, I guess the first half of all of the previous arcs have been more like, here's a chapter, here's a chapter. And then the second half has been more tying those things together and reaching a conclusion. So I think I'm okay with this as it is right now. That is, we never learn. Let us move on to the final pre-recorded of the day. Oh yeah, I did not rank it. Whoops. I'll slide it above Me Roboco. So, last thing we got is Ron Kamonohashi, Deranged Detective. This is the chapter that makes it or breaks it. Am I gonna keep on reading it or not? These tiny pages are killing me. I mean, I say tiny, but I'm sure on a 1080p screen, this is probably filling up the whole area here, right? Yeah, because it's not that much. And it would make sense if these pages are formatted for a 1080p screen, for, like, phones and stuff as well. Okay, recap. So, who is it? I think the obvious answer is, of course, the woman who is, like the woman in the male-female pair that is staying here. Also, he is being very blatant. So is this going to be I'm a detective, there's nothing you can do? Or is this a big misdirect of, I'll prove to you who it is, and my friend here is an actual licensed detective, and he's going to be the one who does the arrest. I'm just a random bystander. I understand why you would have to do this as a recap, but it feels so weird, especially for, like, a digital series where you can go back and read the previous chapter. That's what Officer Ishiki was just saying. You can't do that! That's so blatant! By huh and wah do you mean? You think the leaves that turn the water red just like in the picture, those the kids. Wait, are they going to go with the idea that the leaves themselves aren't, like, it's not that the chlorophyll dies in them and then they just happen to be red, but rather, like, even then, like, there is red pigment that is being leached out into the water, and therefore it's not really blood in the water. Someone who didn't have a chance to see the pamphlet, and thus was unfamiliar with the local legend, wouldn't choose this particular method of killing someone. Okay, sure. No human being would watch this scene and say, "Ah, yeah, this is definitely Ishiki solving it." He hasn't said anything. He has said and ah, and quit messing around now. He's bringing up the ping pong ball, which makes me feel like for sure he was too interested in the end from the very start. Like, he's only ever interested in something like that if it is part of a mystery. So he had to have big brained this whole thing before he got here, right? Ah, I really do not like her as a character. Like, she's such a weird mix of Sun and Dere, where the Sun parts are all extremely aggravating, and the Dere parts aren't great either. Like, I do not understand the appeal of her as a character. Scutes? Supremely cute. Okay, that's a good one. Right, I forgot he was the wife and not, like, the third girl. But, yeah, like, I think they're going for then the third girl was secretly having an affair with her, or with him, the victim's husband. Because that also gives us a easy zigzag that we can do right here at the ends. Ah, and that is a really clever way of using the leaves then. Because that does mean that it's not a I'm going to do a big Scooby Doo. Like he wasn't doing all of this because because the curse provided a good alibi. He committed the murder first and then tied the legend into it. I mean, I'm starting to lose faith in my Ron big brain the whole thing plan because that would mean then that Ron would have known that this was all happening and he would have like set up the ping pong as a way to allow this murder to happen. Oh, oh my gosh, that wasn't a gag, or rather, it did serve an actual purpose in addition to being a gag. This one's really well thought out. Okay, so they were having an affair, but she wasn't involved in the murder. Now, what is Ron doing? Like, is he using magic eye powers from a distance, or? Oh, okay, no, he was being kidnapped. I mean, it's so transparent. Just the fact that he was around is so unbelievably transparent. Huh. You made a bet with someone about whether I'm not doing detective work, or you're threatened to make me admit I'm back in the game. Hmm. Okay. I mean, that does feel illogical, though, because the blue staff were talking about, like, seeing whether he was back in the game or not. So was he doing... I guess this is a play within a play. Like, he did come out here because Blue wanted to see whether Ron was investigating or not. But then on top of that, he wanted to, get his help for real. Hmm. And this is a win-win because now Ron has a mole within the organization who can consistently say, hey, don't worry, he was at this crime scene, but he didn't do anything detective related. Like, he can just outright have someone who is constantly lying on his behalf. And true, like, he is a tracker, so he might be useful in the future. Oh, man, this really took a left turn into Gaglands. Okay, next week is a break. Next chapter on 11/14. Yeah, I'm not really feeling anything too special with the series. Like, there's nothing bad about it, but there's also nothing great about it. Like, this was a solid mystery, to be fair, but if I was down for just a solid random mysteries, I would read any other mystery series. And the characters, like, the type of eccentricity that the characters have isn't really my bag. That's really the main problem. Like, you always have to lead with your best characters, because that way the reader can tell, are your characters interesting? If you're going to introduce future characters, like, what is the bar for them? And right now, this bar does seem to be like, this is what Akira Amano thinks fun characters that you're going to really enjoy are like. And right now, they ain't what I like. So I'm going to hit that with a heavy drop. That and also, like, I can't genuinely say that this was better than Me and Roboco this week. And, like, this was not a great Roboco chapter in my eyes. So that's a hard drop-oo. All right, those are the pre-recorded. It's time for the live stream. Okay, sorry about that. No live stream. So I had an ear infection. I mean, I've had an ear infection for like a year now, and it kind of like flares up and goes down. And this week, it really, really hit me. I'm on some medication that should help a lot more than my previous medication, but I'm not in for a live stream even right now as I'm recording this on like Friday. So we'll see if I can do next week's live stream, but I just want to jump right now so I don't get spoiled. I do apologize in advance if this is kind of a low energy reaction. But I mean, I'm feeling it. I'm vibing. I'm not like pushing myself too hard. You might hear me breathe a little harder, but that's about it. I'm doing good. So let us move on to Our Blood Oath, Chapter 8, Becoming the Beast. Ko with some blood on him. I mean, this is actually like spattered blood, which is interesting. Like, as opposed to him drinking, just his brother's blood or drinking out of a pack. Like, this is obviously supposed to be more of a, like, what if Ko went, not berserk, but, like, what if he ate one of his friends? Okay. So, they're still doing the delivery thing. Oh, I mean, I am glad, but at the same time, becoming the beast does imply that this is gonna turn south. Or, like, if not that she's going to naturally do it, that some, like, third party is going to come in and force her to, like, to release her vampiric urges. You don't smell like a human, Shin, so I was shocked when I heard you were one. Okay. So the Blood Oath is doing it right now, but even before then, he would drink his dad's blood. That's interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, it depends on the lore, but I wonder if drinking vampire blood does change you, like, apart from just making you smell like a vampire. Hmm. Also, to everyone in the mansion. So presumably, they must have had, like, waitstaff and stuff, right? Like, he would have just said, to the rest of the family if he meant the family. Like, everyone in the mansion. Plus, it's a giant mansion. Like, we have to get a flashback at some point about the mansion in its prime and if like, it was staffed with tons and tons of people. Ah, it's so cute. Actually, can vampires drink other vampires' blood in the setting? I don't know if we've actually seen that yet. Like, we know that Ko as a royal vampire is attracting vampiric beasts, but are they doing that specifically because they want to eat him? Or is it just a, like, you have this royal power and so people are drawn to you? Okay, so they did have, like, maids and stuff. I mean, I don't know what I thought I meant by waitstaff, if not, butlers and maids and stuff. Not even royalty can avoid going bestial when they're starving, so he's a backup plan just in case. And so, if the two girls, like, if this relationship's going to go off, it's going to be because she's hungry. But they're doing supply deliveries right now. So, it should be simple. Oh, actually, depending on whether they gave her a pack of blood right now, that could be the problem. Like, if she's gone a full week and she's used up her entire pack and, like, they let her friend come over because because it's fine, they're just going to get blood today, but she's really just barely hanging on. I can see that being a problem. Also, I am curious, like, up until this point, it has seemed like their parents 100% just adopted Shin, like, because they genuinely wanted to adopt, like, a human child. And I do think that is what we're going with. Like, the reason why the two of them can be so equal as brothers, even though one of them has sworn an oath to the other, is because they were raised that way. Like, they are truly brothers. Like, their parents didn't play favorites. Oh, that must be a real weird, like, that is a weird Soylent Green-esque situation of, oh, the thing I've always been eating is my brother. Jeez. But his injuries are more alarming to me. Even if he's human, the important thing is that he's my brother. By the way, I think one reason why I am sticking with our Blood Oath is because it does fill the gap that Bone Collection of all things kind of left in me. I really liked Bone Collection as a series that was about, like, yokai and humans living together. It didn't do that perfectly, but what it lacked in actual world building, it did make up for with, like, comedy and a vibe I really liked. And I feel like our Blood Oath is doing something very similar. Like, it's partially about the brothers. Like, that is our main overarching theme. But it also seems to be about, their their relationship as vampire human and how that then extends to all vampires and all humans. Okay, wait. So that was all a flashback then. Like, even this part is a flashback. Because right. I kind of just didn't think about the fact that their human friend was, like, tagging along. But okay, so this was last week. And then this is, the current, this is branching off from last chapter. Kiri's missing. Okay, so did she go berserk? 4 days! Okay, so this is the faction that his sister's a part of. So that's how we're tying this mini arc back into, the main plotline of whatever that faction is. Once you go bestial, there's no way to turn back. Huh. Okay, we are saying, though, that, like, the vampiric beasts are not vampires that went bestial. It is just, like, you got normal vampires, you have vampiric beasts, and once you start going bestial, your brain just kind of, like, devolves. And that would fit, like, what we saw of that faction, if their plan is, like, we've kidnapped your kid, we've kidnapped her best friend, and we're gonna just lock them in a room and see if she eats her. But okay, I mean, I also do appreciate that, like, this is another series where, like, you do have to put down the enemy, and there is a clear, like, explanation of this isn't a cruel thing. Like, once they're there, there's no going back. There is no, like, you can still be emotionally affected by the fact that they are like that, but they can't go back. Like, I'm sure this will lead to shades of gray, but I appreciate that our Blood Oath has been fairly, like, simple and black and white in terms of the morality. Like, I have realized that I do prefer series that start off very black and white, even if that's not true within the lore of the series, and then introduce shades of gray, as opposed to diving right into the shades of gray. I can understand why you would want to do that as a writer, if that is, the thing you really want to write. But I feel like that also makes the series, like, not off-putting, but it makes it feel like a lot of other series that have done the same thing. Of, I don't know what is right and what is wrong. Everything feels kind of gray. As a result, I, as a reader, don't really know where I'm supposed to side, slash, I can't really parse my own feelings. So what is she doing? Like, her head's nestled in there. So is she biting, or is she, like, forcing herself not to? Oof. Okay, you know what? That feels like a bit of a cheat. Like, for her head to look that different. Like, this is clearly, she's had the blood sucked out of her. Whereas this is, she doesn't look like that there. I'm gonna call shenanigans on that one. Because I do think, even artistically, there is no reason why you couldn't have her just look like, like her face is dirty here, and then shift to the shot and make it clear that, okay, it's not dirt, it is, like, her face is very sallow. But okay, so, and also she is a child, and she has devolved into a vampiric beast. Now, the series could, it doesn't look like we have a lot of time left. The series could, like, next chapter, either do the, well, because because Ko has royal blood, he is capable of reverting vampiric, like, bestial vampires. But I don't know how I feel about that now. Because if he could do that now, that does change the entire fabric of the series. Whereas if he has to kill a child here, I mean, okay, like, now we're getting into gray territory. I wonder if they liked my calling card. That's so fucked. So distracted by the cats. And it looks like this just happened too. Like, she's not dead, right? Yeah, like, she looks so vibrant there. So this must have happened, like, this minute, or, like, within the last couple of minutes. Like, she barely, snapped. Yeah, but yeah, I do think this is a pretty strong calling card, because it is also not a, like, I, clamped her fangs onto the other girl's neck situation. It is, like, it is having absolute faith in her belief that vampire and human will never be more than predator and prey. Jesus Christ. She does have rationality, though. Like, she is changing, but at the same time, like, so it's not an immediate snap. It isn't a, like, once you go bestial, you have the brain of a beast. So this actually does open up more in terms of, like, what they can do with her. Like, if she is still rational, they could still, like, put her in an apartment or something. But they would have to lock her up, because, like, if this is unchangeable, like, if once you go bestial, you can't ever revert, that should also mean that her hunger is at a state where, like, she's more likely to snap at people and try to consume them. And I do really love this final page, because Shin looks so pissed. Like, we so rarely ever see him be really mad. Like, even in the last, couple of chapters where he's been fighting, he doesn't seem that enraged, whereas this is anger, and he is, like, he bit his lip so hard that he's bleeding from it. Whereas Ko seems more defeated. I mean, I do like it as a flip on the predator-prey thing. Like, Shin is the fighter of the group, and he is the one who is obscenely angry about this, whereas Ko, even though he is way stronger, is also, like, thinking of it from the moral, perspective of, like, or not even the moral perspective, just it really sucks. Like, it's really horrifying that I'm looking at this small, dead child, or maybe dying child. I mean, I am just so impressed that, like, there is a mid-space in the bestial transformation that she has to, presumably, like, from now on, she will look like this, and she will hunger for human blood way more so, and yet she's not at a state where it is okay to kill her. Like, this is a good gray. Like, what do you do once a vampire has gone bestial? Okay. When they've gone completely bestial, they can never return to their original form. So, there, like, that line is important. Completely bestial. There is, like, some gradation, so maybe she can be turned back. I feel like this is going to be if you drink royal blood and you're barely starting to go bestial, you can be reverted. But there's no way that wouldn't have come up already, is the thing. Like, in their lives right now, there's no way that they have never, like, if they could save a vampire that's going bestial at the very, start of their onsets, there's no way they wouldn't have already done it, in which case there's no reason why Ko wouldn't know about that, slash Shin, why Shin wouldn't have told him about it. So it has to be like, it can't be revertible. Like, this little girl has to either stay like this forever and, be very closely guarded, or she has to die. If there's a third cop-out, that's going to feel really weird. But okay, that's our blood oath. Oh no, I don't have my notes up. Okay, so Black Clover, Black Clover was quite good. We Never Learn, also pretty good, but it was like standard We Never Learn good. So I'm gonna put this right below Black Clover. And I do think like there is still a gap here. Black Clover was quite good. So with that, I'm starting to get back into the groove of it. Let us move on to Undead Unluck, number 38, Ano-un. Ah, that is a really cool Halloween page. Who's in here? Who is this? Oh, it's Tatiana. Right, okay, okay. The whole pumpkin is Tatiana. Or like, the whole pumpkin is Tatiana's normal, thing, and then she is inside as a fairy. Okay, that's really good. Oh, that's close. So I guess they're both werewolves. Or maybe they're just no. The rips and stuff imply werewolf. Very nice of Billy to show up and do a big vampire Dido. It's not really a Dio pose. It is more just a general vampire pose. Also, I do like the stretched out ghosts here. That's a cool look. Has anyone seen anything recently with the Jiangxi, like the Chinese hopping zombies that is like, a modern, not goofy take on them? Because I've seen them so often in, goofy things, because, it's a goofy idea. But I am really curious to see, like, if anyone's done a horror thing with those that is actually scary. I want to know. But okay, so all languages were supposed to be unified into English, but the manuscript is still in Japanese. I'm really curious to see how Ano-un's power works, because obviously, like, you can still, like, they can still exist as a pen name, but I assume, like, no matter what Andy and, I was gonna say, no matter what they do in order to try and find them, they can't. But they have to be able to find this person, or otherwise this arc is not gonna happen. Okay, instead there are these awkward gaps. The closer we got to the climax, the more apparent the plot holes became. So I assume Yumi has some rejected storylines, right? Okay, 3 arcs. So Kohei's betrayal. So I assume that is, of course, Billy. The Four Kings of the Four Seasons arc. So the current quest lines. And the Ando's past arc. Now, what is that? I mean, I can understand in reference to Undead Unluck, the manga, what that would be. But how would that make any sense in time, is what I'm trying to say. Like, are we implying that there's going to be a point at which they just talk about his past? Or, yeah, because there's no way, like, if this is a book of prophecies, that a book of prophecies would go backwards in time, right? I mean, I might just be overthinking it. As a, like, direct thing of, these are things that are going to happen in the manga that are not going to happen in Yumi. This makes clear sense of, like, if they read Yumi and try to decipher everything, they're not gonna, like, see what happened to Billy. They're not gonna see the current stuff that's happening right now, and they're not going to learn about Andy's past. Also, if it is an artifact that's, like, automatically writing everything out, then I wonder what they mean by they shelved those arcs. Because presumably, like, all the manuscripts would have had to have been written out entirely, automatically. But, like, why would the editorial staff shelve them? This is also a, like, they have free reign of all the other members, to grab someone. Right. So, yeah, they may have been replaced because obviously, like, what are these? These aren't in the language. Holy crap. It's so direct. Fuko's grown so much. I mean, I don't know if this is growth, or if it's growth, it's on the proper direction. But it's so weird. Like, so much has happened, and yet it feels so insane to see Fuko just hold a gun to someone's head. Would you mind reading my manga? But okay. I was also in the back of my head wondering if, like, when she said, I know you prefer to stay silent, if it was a literal, like, due to her power, you can't hear her speak. But okay, so you can hear her speak. In 5 hours, come to the bench at Stanley Park in Canada, the both of you. Also, is Stanley Park near me? Like, I know not right near where I live, but within driving distance, there is a Stanley Park Mall, but I don't know where Stanley Park is. I mean, I assume it's close to Stanley Park Mall, right? Yeah, they did say the both of us. So, okay. I mean, I guess Ano-un, like, if the pen allows them to see, like, a completely unfiltered version of everything, that's the difference. Like, they are clearly writing out the plot of Undead Unluck, which focuses on the Union. But up until this point, I have been wondering, like, is the pen writing the manga itself, from which you can kind of glean details? Or is the pen, like, telling, yeah, like telling the mangaka specifically, like, here's what's actually happening, and then they're actually like changing it into, their current manga. Age unknown, sex unknown. They say no one knows what they look or even sound like. Yeah, I mean that is pretty nutso. But anyways, what I was about to say, sorry, I got kind of distracted, is that the combination of not being able to know anything about them, but they, having this ability to specifically look at what the Union is doing is a powerful combo. Mysterious masked manga maker, eh? I wonder if they're already working for Under. 5 hours later, Stanley Park, Canada. This is, I've seen this coastline before. This is, the West Coast, right? Of course, of course. I can't believe Poutine made it into a Shonen Jump manga. We're getting too close for comfort. Okay, so they can't, they have no idea she's there then. Jeez, this is so cool! Because also, she did pick up the script. She is presumably, like, reading through it. And yet, like, not only do they not know she's there, but it's not like oh, she's invisible. Because they can't tell that she's playing, she's looking through the manuscripts. Undead Unluck, huh? And I know what you two want to know. The reasons behind Billy's betrayal, how to defeat the four Umas, Andy's mysterious past, and lastly, how to defeat God. Sound about right. So okay, so she is definitely getting the information in a unfiltered capacity. So I guess they're also probably going to do the Autumn fight here as well. Makes sense, this is already part of their territory. Okay, so she's writing with the pen. I don't know what this is. I mean, it looks kind of like a guillotine vaguely, but it's like straight instead of, The two of you are about to do battle with Autumn, and in turn learn about yourselves. So she just drew that into existence, it looks like. Once you both come to know each other even better, you'll get several times stronger. Those are all the hints he gets. Grab the reward by your own hands. I'm sure the two of you can do it. The way this mangaka draws smiling faces is so powerful. Like, they're also a little samey. I can see, like, a little Shen in there already. But at the same time, it is such a good expression. Oh god, thank goodness, the manuscript's fine. Plus, like, if she knows everything, then she almost certainly also knows that this, like, the whole making a script thing is a ruse. And yet, I mean, they did genuinely write a script that was good enough for the editorial staff to look at. So I guess it does make sense. Like, even if she knows they don't want to be mangakas, she's still going to treat it like it's actual manga, because it is actual manga. But okay, so I assume this must be the power of the pen. In which case, does the pen alter reality? Like, is it that she wrote everything that is happening in the series itself? Like, we could go that meta with it. I mean, I guess it could also be a pen that simultaneously tells you about the future and allows you to change the future. But, like, this isn't changing the future. This is just spawning a giant... Like, I don't know where this would be in real life. Like, if this is taking something that really exists and just moving it. Or just, changing fate or something. Like, there's no way. She definitely just drew this into existence. But okay, so, I mean, this is the mangaka's word. This is the Uma Autumn arc. If she can only be sensed if she lets people sense her, that's also a strong combo of, like, she wouldn't care about the Uma encroaching because they can't hurt her. They're not gonna, like, it's not gonna know she exists. Plus, she is, like, powerful enough to fight them at any point. This is transparent, too, so, yeah, it has to be that she is, like, doing a Rohan, where, like, she's drawing in the air. Like, I'm so curious to see, like, if this ever gets animated again, like, how does this move? Like, in three-dimensional space, how does it go from being at this angle to it existing here on either side of her? I know that's not the most important part of this, but, like, I need to know the logistics. Also, she's wearing Crocs. That is... I mean, if being covered with blood and still being like, hey, it's fine, I don't care, if that wasn't enough to sell her personality, I think the fact that she is, wearing a sweatsuit and Crocs is the ultimate, like, she's so chill. She is the definition of chill. Or rather, she's the definition of wanting to be comfy. I would not say what is happening here is chill. Also, I guess we will learn her name eventually, but I wouldn't really care. Like, I'm fine with it just being Anoun. Like, either way, if you can't track her and you can't, like, if she only is existent to you if she feels like it, then there's no real purpose in knowing what her real name is, quote unquote. I mean, it feels like she's also gotta die, right? Like, if she knows everything. I guess the alternative is if she doesn't die here, it could be that she knows exactly how things go down, and it ends with the Union failing. So in which case, like, it's fine to give you, a big exposition jump and a bit, a bunch of spoilers because it ain't gonna work out, and you want it to work out, so you better do something about this. But honestly, I am so taken with the idea of her being this like powerful exposition device where like we learn everything we need to know about this loop, and then including the fact that this loop will end in failure, and then they go through it, they try as hard as they can, they do some things differently, ultimately it ends in failure, and they have to do a second loop for the next like big maxi arc of the series. Also, final guess before I end this, I'm going to call my shot and say that in the same way that most negator abilities seem to involve some level of caring or, like affection, I'm going to say that people can only perceive her if they like her, if they have affection for her as a human being. And that's why, like, even here, she has a tag that says Ano Un, because that isn't her. Therefore, if you only know her as Ano Un, like if you only know her as a mangaka, you can't perceive her at all. But if you did know her real name, or if you did know like something about her as a human being, then you would be more capable of perceiving her. Because that would also explain like the silent calls and everything. Like if she's been intentionally trying to keep the world from knowing as much about her as possible in order to maintain the efficacy of her negation ability. Okay, that is Undead Unluck. It goes right to the top. There's no stopping it. Oh no, that's Chainsaw Man. By the way, I am struggling with a not so good mouse. I'll be getting a better mouse later, but for now, my mouse movements are not going to be as elegant as they once were. All right, let's hop over to Chainsaw Man, chapter 91. Power, power, power. Okay, so I don't think we've ever done this before. Like, there have been many chapters of Chainsaw Man that have been XY chainsaw. We may have had like some three-parters that didn't involve the word chainsaw at all. They all seem to have been like are like chapters specifically where Chainsaw Man is doing a thing, but like it's not like every chapter with Chainsaw Man doing a thing is follows that. I still don't fully actually know what's the three like what that signifies to Fujimoto or to the manga. But power, power, power is interesting because it is the same thing three times. That does make me think more of like a slot machine. Like up until now, it has been like there's been some meaning to it, but this is the jackpot. So the question is, what does she do? I mean, even like all through this week, I have been waffling on whether I do think she is obviously a coward. She is a Garbo person. I do think that when she gave up and was like, you know what, you can have him, I do think that was completely genuine. But the question is, will she flip here as well? Ah, she's thinking, what did these moments mean to her? Ah, even that shot. Uh, I've seen that like fan made ED of this panel, but it's all colored and like stuff's happening in the background like through the windows. Like I think the existence of that fan made ED really makes me love this in particular. Okay, this is in a way very My Hero. Like I think this is her brain going, I want to do this. I want to surrender. I want to give him up. But her heart refuses. She doesn't understand why she's doing it, but she is, like, her body is moving on its own. She is trying to save him. I also do appreciate the sheer level of not needing to care about anyone she has. Like, apart from literal immortals, anyone else she can insta-kill. Like, she is so overpowered, legitimately. She has so much power. All lives are equally trivial, including mine, so any death, even my own, is nothing to be sad about. But, Denji can't die. Jeez. This is... I actually really like this shot, not just because of the intestines, but specifically because, like, her physical body is mostly intestines. Like, this has the simultaneous look of both, being very gory, like, being her upper half dragging along the ground, crawling while her intestines are trailing behind her. But it also, because she normally has her intestines exposed, it also looks like she is unspooling. Like, she is pulling herself apart and, trying, like, she's leaving so much for herself behind while trying desperately to try and save Denji. Because Denji's my first friend. This can't be literal, though. There's no way. Like, this has to be a meta. Like, even though they are in the dumpster. Wait, they're in a dumpster? Oh, I'm getting real big Chainsaw Man Chapter 1 parallels, actually. I mean, it would also just be fitting if, like, Pochita slash the Chainsaw Devil's liminal space is, the room that Denji was in, back in the day, looking at that door. Whereas Power's liminal space is literally a garbage can, or, a dumpster. I've lived enough. I ate a lot of good grub, flirted with a girl, got to play video games with you guys, slept next to you. From my point of view back when I was stuck in a debt trap, I really did get to live my dream life. I have been wondering about, like, Chainsaw Man going through the motions of what Denji wanted, and, like, what that meant. I do think that... I thought that was supposed to be, like Chainsaw Man as an entity trying to carry out the contract automatically. Like, let's just fill all the motions. Let's just, do all the text of what he wanted to do. And so it actually does hurt to hear him say that, like, even before all of that, even, pre all of this, when he was just a devil hunter, like that, he still managed to get everything he wanted. And I mean, I know that's not coming from a place of happiness or contentment. This is coming from a place of absolute despair. Like, he's got that rationality of someone who is, like, ready to die. Someone who has, like, fallen into that, like, quasi-logical state that you get into when you want to kill yourself. Of, like, oh, I understand this. I am the only person who understands the rationality of the universe and how everything is meaningless and how I'm ready to give it up. I mean, yeah, like, her death is what made him completely snap. So it makes sense that she's the only one who can, like, save him. When devils die in this world, they're reborn in hell. I won't be me anymore, though. So if we meet again, it'll probably be as enemies. Denji, go find the Blood Devil. By the way, I do want to say, like, the shading in all of this is so good. And I really like the cut from this space, which is so, like, for, the inside of a dumpster. It's so brightly lit. It's so calm looking. It's so nice to this, where, like, it is like the shadow of death is on Denji. That's the best way of putting it, honestly, because, yeah, he's the only one covered in darkness. Power is still, like, except for the shots, like, Power is consistently pretty lit. Or actually, no. What it is, when he's talking about death, they're both, like, in the darkness. And then when Power is resisting, she lights up. Denji, go find the Blood Devil. Find them, make friends with them somehow, and turn the Blood Devil back into power again. Then I can be your buddy again, can't I? Ah! So, oh my god, we did go full circle. Like, full circle even in the sense of, like, Denji with his one friend who is, by his side this whole time. Now they're both in the dumpster, and his friend is once again sacrificing herself for him. Denji, this is a contract. I'll give you my blood. In exchange, come find me. Ah. And this feels like, I'm gonna have to check the scene again, but this feels so much like when like when the chainsaw left him with, show me your dreams. And I do really like this because this is also a, like, it fits Power. It is self-centered. It is her saying, like, I want what is best for me. I don't want to die. I want to keep on existing. So if you like me, if you want me to keep on existing, you gotta find my next reincarnation and turn them into me. Like, Pochita was... Oh, I didn't even think about the parallel of Pochita giving him his hearts and Power giving him her blood. Like, we don't know how much of Pochita she ate. So I don't know if this is a complete... I mean, it can't be all of Pochita because, like, Chainsaw Man still physically exists. So it had to have just been some of Pochita's flesh. But that means, presumably, Denji will now have Pochita's heart and Power's blood running through that heart. And he did revert. So we do have the parallel of, like, this whole time, he, like, from the moment Power died, really, he had completely disappeared. It was just Chainsaw Man out there. And now it's finally Denji again. Question, are you Denji, or are you the Chainsaw Monster? If you're Denji, I'll set you free from Akuma somehow. If you're a monster, then keep on sleeping in the dumpster. This chapter has so many strong callbacks. Okay, I mean, I guess this might be the continuation of this arc. I was gonna say the next arc, because this feels like such a strong end point, but no, we're not done. Like, they're still in the middle of a fight. Also, it does make sense that if he now has something of Powers, regardless of what exactly it is, like, that would help benefit the fact that the chainsaw is no longer as feared. Like, the chainsaw has been poisoned by the love of humanity. But blood is still scary. And arguably, like, there's no way to get around blood being scary as a thing. Because, like, the devils are all organic. They are all fleshy things. Like, even, I keep on thinking of the, was it Twister? General Spinny Devil during the Reze arc. Like, even that was not like a devil that was spinning super fast and creating a tornado. It was literally just a giant, like, mass of intestines and gore that looked like a tornado. Like, there's no way to separate blood from devil. Or rather, like, where there are devils, there will be blood. And I guess it also means that, like, if he has any level of blood control now, he could way more easily create the perpetual motion machine of kill things, consume blood, keep on killing things. This also means, like, either Denji has to go to hell to find the Blood Devil, or he just has to wait for a Blood Devil to be reborn in hell to then die and then come back to Earth. So either way, like, there's gonna be a new Blood Devil. We're finally going to see what is up with devil reincarnation. What do they look like? What are they like? They do have memories of their last existence. So I guess presumably Denji does have to go to hell. Like, otherwise, the Blood Devil that would respawn on Earth would have, lingering memories of the Blood Devil in hell, but probably not lingering memories of power. Like, in order to, like, ensure that you got the freshest memories possible, it would have to be go to hell, get Blood Devil right now. I mean, if it's hell, then I guess we'll also see more of hell, which I'm very down for. If it's not, like, if Blood Devil is on Earth somewhere, I mean, there's so many fun possibilities. Like, find them, make friends with them somehow, and turn the Blood Devil back into power again. Make friends with them somehow is such a cool quest line, because Denji is so bad at that. Like, he becomes friends with people who are forced to hang out with them, basically. Like, they have to be there, and over time he learns to like them. He doesn't really know how to socialize or how to be a friend, really. And this does open up possibilities, like, what if the president of the United States becomes the Blood Fiend, and and then Denji has to, make friends with the presidents, or, like, I'm imagining anything that Power said before. Like, what if it is, in fact, a Nobel Prize winner? What if the Blood Devil is actually just really smart, and as a result of, like, reawakening Power's memories within it, it becomes extremely stupid? There's so much you could do. I feel like also, like, the idea of resurrecting someone old, like, that brings back, like, violence. Like, violence and Kobani's thing of, kind of just being a pair, and then the reveal right at the very end of Violence's life of, oh, by the way, that was definitely like, the Violence Fiend was using Arai's body. Like, I feel like we're going to have some sort of a vague cosmic parallel of that. I mean, it can't be the Blood Devil inhabiting Aki's corpse, because Aki's corpse is destroyed, right? I mean, I guess we don't know what happens to it now that I think about it. Like, Denji did chainsaw through it, but that doesn't mean that it's, that ceased to exist. Presumably it's out there somewhere. What a wild ride of a chapter. And now that, I mean, the title makes sense as a big old, like, actually, what was the first chapter title? Was it Chainsaw, Chainsaw, Chainsaw? Because I could see that being a thing. Oh my gosh. I did not remember this. Like, this is 100% the same background. And, like, the same thing of, we see the actual inside of the dumpster. But this is not the actual inside of the dumpster. This is like a liminal space of the dumpster, quote unquote. And it is identical to the way it was in this chapter. I'll give you my heart in exchange. Show me your dreams. That is almost exactly the same. Yeah, like, even up to the paneling of, yeah, like, he's in the garbage, super dark, then he jumps out screaming Pochita, or in this chapter Power. Like, oh my gosh. But yeah, like, I'm not saying it's the exact same alleyway or anything. I mean, there's actually no way, because this is out in the boonies. Yeah, this was just that abandoned building. So yeah. So it can't be the same place. But it is, like, metaphorically extremely similar. Well, 91 chapters in, I guess. I mean, it also like, this doesn't feel like, a last hiccup of hope before the end of the series. This does feel like we're starting arc 2 of the series, or like we're getting ready for the second big arc. if that makes any sense. It's also possible this could be near the end, but I don't feel it in my bones. It feels like there's so much left to do, even with how decimated the cast is. Like the series has done a really good job of destroying so much of the cast, while at the same time, so much of the cast is still around. The main question is just like, can there be an arc after Makima? Because this is her endgame. This is everything she has been building up since the first few chapters all coming to a head. So like, can the series go on past her? / are they going to deal, like, can they defeat her? Can they defeat the power of control itself? I do think it would make sense if the next big, like, saga of Chainsaw Man is, like, this whole time, the Chainsaw Devil Chainsaw Man as an entity refused to eat Makima, whereas Denji now has control, and he would have no qualms about eating Makima. In which case, that could be the secret twist of, like, she has been screaming, please eat me this whole time. So, he eats her, the concept of control is erased from the universe, and then I guess we see what the world is like if the concept of control doesn't exist, which I guess might just be like a wasteland. Yeah, because like if everything is the same as it is now, minus the concept of control, then I mean, I guess it could also be like an anarchist paradise. But I feel like the vibe of the series would not go towards that. It would go more towards a like, this is the apocalypse. Man, what a fantastic chapter. I mean, how does this not go at the top? It's been a little while. It's been like a week or two since we've done the classic Chainsaw Man Undead Unluck, but I mean, it's like that for a reason. It's just, they're just such good series. But yeah, undisputed top no matter what. Well, for now, let's see if the next two series have that special sauce or not. Let's move on to Dr. Stone, chapter 172. We've got a color page here. I assume we're going to get like a big old color spread as well. Okay, so they're heading for the upper reaches of the Amazon River. Z equals 172, marked with an X of wisdom. Wait, what is going on this? Okay, wait. Okay, never mind. I see what's going on. Like, the thing that was really bugging me out was Kohaku here, but also Kohaku here. But okay, so, I mean, I still don't get it. It seems like they're also definitely not, like, they're child versions. Like, they're not Suika-shaped. They are just, like, you got the cast, and you have tiny versions of them. I mean, I guess it could be implied that these are supposed to be their kid selves. Also, of course, rabbits are on the moon pounding mochi. We don't see any mochi, but they've got the mallets. Now, Kohaku is clearly trying to grab this rabbit. I don't know what Senku's doing here. What is he looking at? What? So that's happening here. We've got... See, there's no way this is what... I mean, we saw what Kaseki looked like when he was younger. Like, not that much younger, but we've seen him when he was younger. He didn't look like this. This is just tiny Kaseki. I mean, he does have a thing on his head, but no, that's just tiny Kaseki. They're just tiny versions of themselves. I see we've got the king rabbits about to give humanity a grim reminder. Got the two Tsukasas flying through space. What is happening? This is a wild cover. That said, very down for it. I do think the whole thing looks good, except for, like, honestly, just these two, like feet hitting the ground. I think this effect looks pretty bad. I'd rather it just not be there. But apart from that, like, the blending of, the very hyper-realistic, like, moon and the stars and the earth, like, that all looks really good with the Dr. Stone crew. And oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that they had to build the city here anyways. Like, I thought that, I did assume this was a departure. I guess also because I kind of figured, like, if they weren't going to go directly to South America, then I didn't really consider that they were going to, just like do a brief stop in America and then go down. But okay, so they're doing it. Oh boy. I mean, that is pretty realistic though. I do appreciate that they're not just saying, yeah, it'd be fine to trek through the Amazon because, we're modern people. We could do it. Nah, it's not possible. Or rather, it would be extremely difficult. Yeah, there's no way. I mean, maybe there's a strait here now, perhaps, like over the course of thousands of years, that could allow them to kind of, it's like zip on through here. I mean, they're being chased though. They can't keep doing this. However, yeah, here he comes. It's Stan the Man. Yeah, there's no way they can keep this up. There's no way this is sustainable. Luna is a gem. I mean, it's also been a little while since we've had the classic Kingdom of Science, everyone working as hard as they can, including Senku, including, like, all the characters who don't do a lot of physical labor. Like, I really appreciate every time we see this. It is, I think, like my favorite aesthetic of Dr. Stone, to be completely fair. Like just this vibe of everyone giving it all they got and being completely exhausted. Like not because they need to kill someone, but just because like they need to build the thing or they need materials really, really like as soon as possible. Thank goodness we got Taiju and his cheat code strength. Still. Glowing letters. Hell. It says hell. What? What? Okay, so my thought process for a second was like, you know, when you're typing stuff on your calculator, I thought this was the classic thing, you know, you type in 4377, you turn your calculator around and it says hell, but that requires a lowercase h. This is an uppercase h. There's no way that's what this is. Like, there's gotta be some reason why this is saying this that isn't literally big floating letters in the air saying hell. There's no, I mean, I do appreciate the logic of, yeah, Y-Man has to be the one doing this, but no, why would he? Why would he? Look around the glowing letters. It looks like some sort of canvas. Okay, so this is a trick, but who's doing this? Oh no! Oh boy! Oh, I'm really glad that like there was no time to waste here. Before I could even say it, like Suika immediately was like, "Yeah, I know what this is." Okay, so she is a modern timer. Also, wait a minute. We really sped this up, didn't we? I wonder if this is supposed to be a Halloween design. Like, because it's a giant pumpkin. But I cannot believe the Kingdom of Science's efficiency of, you're wearing a pumpkin and you're naked. Let us make you a completely bespoke pumpkin-themed ensemble. Like, did she request this? It's so, like, this is so bonkers. I can't believe they made all this stuff in the moment. Also, she doesn't have any cracks on her. We bumped into each other at National Park the day before the summit with all the big experts. This is the genius teen geographer, Dr. Chelsea. Ahem, barely a teen. Oh no, Boichi, I know why you said that. I know why you said that. And she's got no cracks on her. So she did break out of the stone. I kept awake that whole time, just like the shouting soldier said. Okay, this also means, like, I wasn't, like, I was sure they weren't in South America already. But okay, so they've barely really moved that much. Like, they're still within the territory of Xeno's kingdom. It was a 50-50 chance and you blew it. Ah, this was meant to say help and not hell. What do you mean I didn't realize since I can't see? The letters are so big. How could a human being not tell the difference between an L and a P? Like, the P is such a big loop, and she had to paint it by hand. Make landfall in northern Ecuador, do a teensy bit of mountain climbing, and ride the Amazon River like a water slide all the way down. Oh boy! They're gonna make a motorcycle! I mean, this is some weird advice, honestly. Because she has one route, but she does automatically say, by the way, this route is impossible. To be fair, I guess I do that sometimes when people ask me for advice. I do go, like, I do have an idea, but it's impossible. And it does make sense, like, if they're going to be destroying their ship anyways, like, this isn't even their ship. So whatever, disassemble it, take all the pieces, make a motorcycle. With Kaseki on it. Rubber, is that a resource we possess? Yeah, because even the, like, the big tank slash ATV that they made during the Stone Wars didn't have rubber wheels. It did have, like, those paper wheels. Whereas, like, if this is some serious off-roading, they're probably going to need rubber tires. I believe rubber trees do grow in South America, so they should be able to, like, if they sail down a bit more. Like, if they stop in Ecuador, maybe, they'll be able to get everything. I mean, yeah. They have to stop before they build the, like, most... Because they're stripping the ship for parts. I guess if they just take stuff off the top, they might be able to build most of the motorcycle before they make landfall. And then they would just have to make the wheels. But okay, I'm down. Okay, chapter. Not my favorite, though. Gonna say Dr. Chelsea feels pretty forced, but, I mean, Dr. Stone has a pretty good track record of characters that I end up really liking, so I'll give her time. She's kind of came on a little hard. Compared to everything else, though, I can't put it above our Blood Oath, so right there, right in the middle, or a little below the middle. We got one more series. It is time for My Hero Academia, Chapter 289. Miss Candid and Miss Shutaway. I assume Miss Candid then is going to be Toga, and Miss Shutaway is going to be Ochiko. That would make sense as a, like, you know, like, you keep on saying I'm a bad person and I'm doing bad things, but I'm trying to understand. Like, I'm trying to understand what's going on. I want to express myself to the people I love. Whereas have been standing next to Deku for like 280 chapters, and you haven't done a thing. Like, he has no idea how you feel about him. What, like, you are the shutaway. You are the weird one here. Not in the sense that I think that's true, but I think that's going to be Toga's perspective here. Oh boy, it's been so long since we've seen Ida do anything. To be fair, I say that every time he does something, and it's not like, I mean, if you add them all up, I guess he probably has had a fair number of scenes. Like, compared to someone like, Kota or, uh, yeah, 3 of my classmates ran off and haven't returned, and 2 of them taught me a valuable lesson. They're my dear friends. It feels weird that he's singling them out like that. I mean, I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm just saying it feels weird to say 3 of my friends are gone, and also 2 of them taught me a lesson. But okay, let's see, do they get... hang in there? Because yeah, like, this is also, like, for good reason, they've evacuated the area, so they wouldn't have just a random healer hanging around here. Oof, I mean, Deku's looking bad. We know Bakugo's doing bad. Like, we're not really seeing that quite as much here, but we know he's doing bad. I really hope Nejire gets to be really cool here. Like, this is already, I mean, she came in clutch, but it's also just a, like, interruption scene, which is usually not as cool as a direct fight. I feel like she was really, really shafted during the Hasakai arc, so I really want to see her be cool. Like, I want to see why she's part of the Big Three here, if we didn't get to do it during the, the arc where we saw 2 of the Big Three and why they were the part of the Big Three.
How many chapters is it? What chapter are you on?
Right now, 289.
Okay. I just took out my headphones and heard you talking about Nejire still not having gotten any focus.
Yeah. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Oh, right. Like, Gantamakia has been coming here this whole time, so maybe we are gonna, like, maybe they're gonna fuse. Also, what is this pouty expression? What is this look? I mean, it's not... I think it might be a look of anger, but, like, I would imagine her to be, like, baring her teeth if this is supposed to be a, like, you hurt my, the person I was working under, therefore I'm really mad. This looks more pouty than anything else. Oh, boy. He hasn't gone full one-winged angel, but, like, this is definitely a different form. This is definitely a different stage of the boss fights. Okay, back to here. I assume this is going to be most of the chapter. Also, the whole, like, Miss Shutaway thing might be the fact that, like, Ochako is going to treat this as a fight, whereas Toga does, like, legitimately want, like, her questions answered. Like, that's why she's here. She does want to legitimately talk. When I think about the people I love, it makes me want to become them. This desire to take all their blood for myself gushes up till I just can't stand it. So she's clearly leading up to the question of, like, should I die / why did you kill Jin? Oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, not that she used Ochiko's quirk, but that she could bring it up as a, like, in my Villain Academia, I did murder someone using your ability. Drinking the blood of someone I love gives me their quirk too. Okay, so it also isn't a specific, like, she now just unlocked the ability to use anyone's quirk if she turns into them. It is specifically, well, to her at least. I'm saying this as if this is absolute fact, when, if of anyone, Toga is an unreliable narrator. But I mean, I'm willing to accept that. So that means at the very least, like, she has said she loves both Ochako, Deku, and also, Tsuyu. So presumably, now I'm so curious, like, if she gets any more of Deku's blood, what exactly happens if she uses his quirk? Is it all for one now? Or, like, is it the strength quirk? Or does she also get all the quirks that he's unlocked? Or does she get the ones he hasn't unlocked? Like, that's the question. How does this work? What are quirks? Might go at her head on. She just dodges. So, what is she going to do? Like, maybe just lift up some rubble and try to use it as a weapon? Ooh, okay. That is a cool ability, because, yeah, like, it's not that the items lose their weight. It is just that they float. So she can just hammer people with heavy objects. Or in this case, like, these aren't even that heavy, which makes sense, because she doesn't want to kill, she doesn't want to, like, kill anyone. And you're not wrong. Like, this is a situation where, like Ochako is saying this as if it is noble, as if it is a good thing that she is suppressing her feelings. But that doesn't make any sense. Like, logically, why? Like, they are opposites in the sense that, like, also, Toga probably should be suppressing herself a little more. She should be not cutting people. Whereas, like, nothing that Ochiko wants to do is wrong. This is actually, like, this is not terrible advice. If you're gonna live as you please and threaten people, then you also have to live with the consequences. I mean, again, true. I'm kind of scared that this is going to end with Uraka beating Toga and then saying, all right, because of this, because I am kind of like Toga, I definitely can't confess to Deku. Because otherwise, I would be like someone who cuts random people and steals their blood and murders people. I'm really scared that's where we're going with this. But okay. If you're going to live as you please and threaten people, then you also have to live with the consequences. And Toga takes that as, right, thought so. I mean, okay, if she is looking at this from the perspective of, like, people told me not to be me, but if I hide myself, then I think she's coming at this from the perspective of, why did Jin have to die? But also, like, what is wrong with heroes? Like, why, like, what is this weird contradiction? And in that case, Uraraka is saying, if you're going to live as you please and threaten people, then you also have to live with the consequences. Like, that does apply then to Toga's worldview of, if heroes are going to live as they please and threaten people, then the heroes have to live with the consequences. Like, it is this question of, like, who has to suppress themselves? The answer then is no one. No one has to suppress themselves. Like, again, I don't think that's what Uraraka is saying, but I think that is what Toga took in this moment. That it's fine for me to be me, and it's also okay for, like, it's not okay that Jin died, but the fact that Jin died and I want to kill everyone means that Hero Society has said it's okay if I kill everyone, because they gotta live with the consequences. I thought maybe we could confide in each other about love. I'm going back to the League. My confusion's all cleared away. I really want to hear, in her own words, what she took away from this. I'll be disappointed otherwise. Ah, okay, cool page. I mean, this panel is pretty darn messy, but I do appreciate it as a, like, this is the fight, and we're cutting from, like, we started in a very, like, the fight's entering a new stage, then we had an entire mini arc in this chapter that was all very emotional, all very character focused. We cut back to here, and it is a hot mess of interactions. I'm 99% sure, like, if Gigantomachia manages to get here, like, he's gonna fuse. He's definitely gonna fuse with Shigaraki. They're going to combine, they're gonna reach a new final form. And I don't see, like, unless they kill Shigaraki, I don't see how that's not going to happen. I mean, he's also so close. He's so close. Well, it feels insanely tense now. And I do really like this lineup of characters. Like, I think this is a good combination of heroes and villains right now. And I am very glad that Nejire is the only member of the Big Three / one of the only heroes physically here right now. Because hopefully she will get focus in this arc. I mean, it also stops us from being a weird situation where, like, okay, we got the girls in this arc doing this thing where they talked, and then we have all the guys over here during the big, like, Shigaraki fights. Like, I am glad there's at least one female character here. But yeah, extremely dope chapter. I don't think I have anything else I really need to say about it, so, where does it go? I'm gonna say below Black Clover, above Our Blood Oath. The idea is that, like, Black Clover was a really strong chapter this week. It was also a very, like, definitive, like, here's the thing we're doing, also here's the next stage. Whereas this is not quite definitive. I feel like if we had taken, like, maybe one page away from the general hero stuff and spent one more page on Toga, like, I know this is definitely building up to, like, Toga saying how she feels about all this as a big thing. And I can't fault the series for that. But at the same time, like, it made this chapter feel a little less impactful because, like, it felt like two characters talking by each other, and then Toga comes to a conclusion that Uraraka didn't mean. But, like, I understand that in terms of the bones of it, but it just doesn't feel satisfactory to me. So, yeah. Now, let's wrap it up with those author comments, and then we can get out of here. Oh, I can buy Naruto Set 1 on Blu-ray. I don't understand how Viz releases things. I tested out the giant bubbles from last week's chapter and my kids loved it. I recommend using a hoop instead of a straw. I've seen that before. We're all huge Roboco fans in my studio, so we were ecstatic over the miracle that the manga walk-in submission plots coincided. That's actually so cool! I'm really happy that the mangaka of Undead Unluck likes Roboco, and also they didn't intentionally do that, but it did just happen to be in the same volume of Jump. Both series did a let's go to Shueisha and publish a manga chapter. That's wild. Shuhei's shilling the first volume of Roboco. Now, because it's a gag series, also, I am very curious to see what the four Koma and stuff are like. I know though that no one's like we're not going to get an official release for Roboco until like 2 years from now, so whatever. Food talk, food talk, food talk. More so than like general like food talk, it feels like Yuki Tabata just does a lot of like, hey, I received some gifts talk. Like it used to be more of just, the guy that gives him melons every year. But now it does seem like every time a member of the Black Bulls has a birthday, the fans send him gifts, and he is just like, yeah, I love it. Not to say it's bad, but just, it feels like Yuki Tabata gets a lot of gifts. I'm just worried he's going to go down the same path as, I don't remember his name, Yu Yu Hakusho slash Hunter x Hunter mangaka, in which he becomes this, like, gremlin who only comes out when people give him gifts. I start my computer and get requests from Adobe to uninstall Flash. So sad. Yeah. Newgrounds released a special standalone player now, where if you go to Newgrounds, like you can still play all the Flash games, but instead of opening in Flash, it opens in their custom player that you have to download. And I've been enjoying that. It has made me like check out more Flash stuff because it is a cool medium, and I'm glad it's ending in the sense that it opens up a lot of security vulnerabilities, but at the same time, like the Flash era of the internet will always be a thing I'm going to be nostalgic for. Code Kiosk came up in conversation for the first time in a while, so I did a Rakshada impression, but everyone ignored me. I mean, isn't that just pretending to have a pipe in your hand and saying something vaguely sciency? I would also ignore that. Like, of all the characters in Code Geass to do an impression of, Rakshada, really? Suzu's expression in this chapter is something I can only draw in this series, so I want to explore it more. What could that possibly mean? Like, it can't be a lewd expression, because Kentaro, like, he has the absolute full ability to draw whatever expression he wants in anything he's drawn, so what expression could this possibly be? Supposedly there were unexploded shells buried in the ground around my school where we would run laps in PE. That completely changes the tone of High School Family. What? I mean, I assume that is a high school rumor. That wasn't true at all, but still. It's a wild author comment. The nice cherry ordered arrived, but it scares my pet bird, so I'm keeping it locked away for now. I have nothing to talk about besides convenience stores, Matsuya, and Smash Bros. I ate the shrimp chili lunch set today. I mean, it feels weird near the presumed maybe end slash, final arc of Moriking to lay down the rule of, you know what? I have nothing to talk about. Your Mike author comments are going to be these genres. Though I guess that might be it. It might just be that he is tired of author comments and he's like, you know what? I'm just going to lay out the formula now. Oh, we're getting all the monthly author comments as well. I ended up making a lot of fixes to previous chapters in the magazine. Story that looked like such a work in progress. Maybe I will lay off on completely catching up with Blue Exorcist for a while. Like, I'm going to do the volumes no matter what, so yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm just not going to read the chapters that are coming out, like, if I do catch up. But yeah, okay, those are the author comments. As is tradition, they're going right to the bottom. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I was about to say, like, were they better than Ron Kamonohashi? But no, like, this chapter of Ron Kamonohashi was not bad. It was just, like, the tedium was starting to set in. I have now realized that I don't really like what the series is doing in terms of quirky characters. So, but it's not as bad as a bunch of boomers talking about the food that they eat. That's still, if a manga is ever that bad, it's going to be a sad time for Jump. Anyways, that is Weekly Shonen Jump. Thank you all so much for watching. See ya in a few days. Hopefully I'll be better. Bye for now. Nya nya.